Um, Thank you very much. Distinguished guests, our protocol observed. First, I'd like to thank Norfund for the hospitality it has extended to us ever since we came in with my delegation. Jag heter Amelia Kyambadde och jag har bott i Sverige förut. Jag kommer ihåg lite svenska. Jag pratar göteborgska. Men nu har jag åkt hem till Uganda. And I live in Uganda now. Så det är trevligt att vara här i Norge idag. Tack så mycket. So, first of all, I'm honored to be associated with this conference. And I thank Norfund for his focus on job creation in Africa. This is in line with the UN SDGs Agenda of 2030, Goal 8, which stipulates that promoting sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. I'm a Ugandan. I'd like to show you Uganda at a glance. What is this here? Well, it's a region in East Africa, as you all know. It has a population of 40.6 million. We must apply brakes. We are growing very fast. GDP of 27.53 billion. GDP growth is between 4.6% and 5%. Inflation has been stable for a while, 5.2%. That's the area. But about a third is covered by freshwater bodies and wetlands, mainly a plateau astride the equator with favorable tropical climates. Our language is mainly English, and it's a private-led economy. Allow me, before I go very far, to thank Norfund for the investments it's made in Uganda, in energy, ICT, and the rest. But cognizant of the fact that unemployment is a global phenomenon in economic development, the African continent and its sovereign states are grappling with it. We are all making efforts to ensure that we remove this scourge or we improve on employment. So the focus of my address will be on the approach we have taken as Uganda to mitigate this global unemployment challenge. According to the African Union, 40% of Africa's population is below 15 years, from 46% in 1990. This percentage is projected to decline gradually to 36% in 2030. On the other hand, those aged 15 to 59 years will increase from 456 million in 2010 to reach 758 million in 2030. Distinguished guests, this young population structure imposes challenges for the African countries, especially for the least developed or sub-Saharan countries, where my country, Uganda, belongs, in respect of providing them with quality education and employment. But we feel that we have to train and skill and provide a critical mass of skilled labor force capable of boldly facing the daunting challenges of socio-economic and political transformation of the African continent. We have put some laws in place and policies, but I'll talk about some of the strategic measures we have taken as Uganda. Education, mainly. We realized that most parents could not take their children to school. So we started free education, which is universal primary education, because before we used to pay for school fees. But now it's free education primary, then universal secondary education, that's another level. So we offer free education for primary and secondary. So you find that the enrollment figures have risen from 2.2 million in 96 to 8.9 million children in school to date, especially primary. Fighting illiteracy is important, as Derek Bock, Harvard president said, that if education is expensive, ignorance is more expensive. Try it and you see the cost of the country. So we are struggling with that. It is gratifying to note that Norway, through the Norwegian Agency for Development Cooperation, is supporting Makerere University, one of the oldest universities that we have in Africa, in areas of expanding the School of Women and Gender Studies, teaching research and innovation, including knowledge transfer and networking. Our universities are thinking of changing the curriculum. We have 35 universities now, as compared to about 10, 15 years ago when we had only 4 universities. And we're thinking of changing the curriculum to be hands-on, to impart more skills than just the intellectual studies, as has been the case in all the years. We have also introduced business, technical, and vocational education and training for skilling Uganda. And we are looking for productivity and incomes for the MSMEs that they intend to grow after they have trained. These institutions are linked to industries. So once you come out of that institution, then you'll be able to get a job on internship basis first, and then probably they will employ you depending on your capacity. Another area that government has invested in is the development of the energy sector. The energy sector, you find that we are involved in constructing so many dams at the moment. Ongoing projects include power plants in Karuma, which will produce 600 megawatts. Ayago is another one, 600. Isimba, 183 megawatts. Muzizi, 48. Nyagak, 5.5. And then, of course, there is Bujagali. Of course, there is this area, surplus. What is going to happen to the surplus? There will be no surplus because we need to extend the grid also to the rural communities. Not only that, but to export also energy to the neighboring countries, because that is all a free trade zone, considering ESC. So government is promoting investments of alternative energy sources, such as renewable energy, with a supporting policy in place of the renewable energy policy. I'm pleased to announce once again that Norwegian government is investing in Uganda's 250 megawatts Bujagali power plant that is located on the source of the Nile. We would like to see other Norwegian companies coming to invest in other renewable energy sources, such as solar, wind, biomass, that are underexploited in Uganda. They have a potential of creating millions of jobs for light processors, fabricators, and constructors, and other heavy industry manufacturers. At the same time, the interventions will lower the cost of power from the current 11 cents per kilowatt per hour to 5 cents per kilowatt per hour, thus promoting industrialization and job creation directly and indirectly. Of course, the road infrastructure is another one. Is another development that we are investing in. And one-stop border posts, government with assistance of other development partners like Trademark, has invested in the one-stop border post infrastructure to quicken movement of goods across borders, because you find a lot of women dealing in trade across borders. So we're streamlining that so that they operate under a conducive environment across borders, but so that it also improves on jobs. To lower the cost of transport from Port of Mombasa is also key. We're looking at the standard gauge railway, which we intend to build. It started from Kenya, but it will roll out up to our country. We're looking at the market access as well. we have enhanced the market access, ESC, COMESA, which is the common market for Eastern and Southern Africa, with a combined population of 520 million and a GDP of 680 billion. So once you have established your farm in Uganda, then you have a market in the region, both in East African Community, in COMESA. The tripartite, because we have combined SADC, we have combined COMESA, we have combined ESC, because someone's going to ask, you're creating all these economic blocks, where is the link? But we have created a link under the tripartite, and we are looking at the African Continental Free Trade Area. Professor Collier said, well, for Africa to grow, we need big farms, foreign farms. But I think it should be a bottom-up approach. I think we should develop the MSMEs right from the bottom. That is why we are concentrating on the development of MSMEs. Once they grow, they can grow into big industries. But then, of course, we would emulate the bigger farms, but it has to be organic as well. It is important. Gender is another issue, vital issue in our country of concern. The women, we have a Women Livelihood Fund, which supports women in rural communities. Promotion of the youth through the Youth Livelihood Fund, where the youth identify projects in their rural communities, and they are supported through the gender department. And they're given money to support their projects after forming cooperatives. This is also to discourage them from the rural-urban migration. But still, there's more to be done, because even if you support them with that, it is in form of a loan. Sometimes they can't even afford to pay back. So there's still more to be done in that area. Other interventions to promote trade are establishment of border export zones, a facility that will light processing industries for value addition, warehouses, silos. Warehouses and silos is another infrastructure that we want to invest. It's another area that is a virgin area that we need to invest in, cold storage and dry storage. Recently, we had a bumper harvest of maize, and the prices went down completely because storage was a challenge. Government had to intervene to come in to release money to buy the crops. But once we have storage, once we have a chain or infrastructure of storage, that's an area our investors could think about. Oil and gas is a nascent industry, and it's broad. It has various scopes to it, so please invest in it. I'd like to conclude by stating the following, that in the wake of the African Continental Free Trade Area, investment in regional value chains in Africa is a must. We need to promote industries that utilize local resources and also create value within the African countries. Point 2, governments in Africa need to focus on proper policy implementation. We come up with a lot of policies, but sometimes implementation is a problem. That will attract investment, build productive capacity as well. It's important to build, that's point 3, to build a foundation through high quality primary education and vocational training. Another point is to formalize the largely informal sector by incentivizing them to appreciate the benefits of being formal. Developing growth of sectors with long value chains, developing a vibrant service sector with information technology service, or to address unemployment. Access to affordable credit through low interest rates. I thank Norfund for that, especially like cooperatives, agriculture, and investment clubs that could help young startups to find capital that they need in order to grow their business. So I'd like to call upon you to to come and invest in Uganda. There are so many prospects in minerals, in minerals, infrastructure development, agribusiness, and many others. So distinguished guests, Africa offers enormous trade and investment opportunities. Invest in Africa to create jobs and address economic migration of Africans to development countries. I thank you all for listening to me. Oh, under pressure.
Thank you, Minister Kyambadde.
Yes.
This was really interesting, and you were just on time. I know you were worried. Thank you so much. It was just 0 on time.
Yes.
That's perfect. We have quite a few investors here, and I hear your invitation. In regard of the need for development in Uganda, if you had to choose like one sector, which sector would you say is the absolutely most important to have international investments in for the development in the future?
Well, the most important one is energy, because it would spur investments in industries. It would spur ICT training amongst the youth. It would. It is actually the foundation of all forms of development and industrialization.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Tack så mycket.
Tack så mycket.